With Ms. Mood, we have a quorum. Thank you so much for being here. Take your time. When you're ready, Ms. Jacobs, if you want to roll.
Present.
Mr. Burgess. Ms. Fleeton.
Present.
Ms. Herbert.
Robert Morris.
Present.
Join the meeting.
Mr. Lawson. Ms. Mood.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
I'm here.
Mr. Racio. Here. Councilman Walker.
Hello, Robert Morris.
Dr. Morris.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, I'll call the advisory members. Mr. Kane. Mr. Green.
I'm here.
Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Coons. Mayor Robinson. Ms. Summers. Mr. Unthink.
Here.
Have a quorum, Madam Chair. Thank you. That will bring us to number 2, adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda? Properly seconded. Any discussion? If not, we'll call the roll to adopt the agenda. Mr. Brennan.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess. Ms. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Herbert.
Yes.
Ms. Howard. Mr. Lawson. Ms. Mood.
Yes.
Dr. Morris.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Racio. Yes. Councilman Walker. Motion passes. Thank you. That will bring us to number 3, our Midlands Transit Riders Association update. Is Mr. Durst on the phone? I don't.
Walter, I have you on speakerphone. I just sent it out. I'll send it out again. Like,
Okay. So he might not have been able to join us today.
the speaker.
Oh, he's on
I
the
think
speaker. He's on the
he's on the phone.
cell phone.
You know what? Let me see if I can.
Mike.
Hey, hang on. No, stay on.
You want to put
No,
him on the mic?
your microphone. Top. Walter.
I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, you're
Oh, wait,
okay.
you're there.
You're there. Okay, good. Okay.
He's there. Okay. Mr. Durst, you're recognized.
Okay, thank you for recognizing me. 3 things to talk about today. The first is that last week when it was like really cold, some of the buses, the windows were open and riders were complaining that the heat wasn't, functional because they were getting cold through the windows. So could the ComEd please check the windows on the buses to see that they lock so that the air conditioning or the heat will be good for them. Secondly, had a short chat with Tyler Bailey, who is the new city council person through, I was chatting through WIS, and he was asked if he would support public transportation. His main thrust is crime and guns, but he did say that he would support public transportation. So that's a plus for everybody. And then the last thing I wanted to ask about, I was in the hospital 3 weeks ago. It was fine. But I noticed that everybody in the hospital, all the workers were wearing masks. So I asked them about that, and they said, yeah, Prisma has gone back to full masking. And I've noticed that there are people on the buses that are wearing masks again. I was in Walmart today, and the folks were wearing masks. So since South Carolina is kind of like way up there in flu and COVID cases, is there any way that maybe y'all can reinstitute, not full masking by any means, but just encourage people to mask on the bus? Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, and I saw staff taking notes, so we'll definitely make note of that. Thank you for your input as always. Okay.
I wear my mask on the bus. You know, I'm 77 years old. I'm gonna take care of myself.
And I've definitely
Yeah.
noticed, and in my day job, we have re-implemented masking indoors, so yeah. Okay, so, and I also want to recognize Councilwoman Summers is here. And Mr. Lawson as well. Did anyone else come in that was not already counted earlier? Thanks for being here today. That will bring us to number 4, the call to the public. I believe we have one person here.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2. Okay.
No.
Is there, was there a sign-in list?
It's up here.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, if you want to go ahead and
Is it right here?
you can address us from wherever.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
there. Hello, my name is Jamila Sterling, a veteran and taxpayer. You guys are great all the time, but I'm just not gonna use up all my time praising. This is really quick. He actually took one of mine, those windows. I also, as a voc rehab with the VA, I've ridden the USC buses, and none of those USC buses have wet windows. Last week, or maybe the week before, there was a woman showed up to work wet, because the seat she's sitting in, it's a crowded bus. The water is coming in through the windows. So respect is due to respect and dignity is due to a dog even. So poor people shouldn't have to ride the bus freezing by the time they get to their destination, wet by the time they get to their destination. None of those USC buses have broken windows. Not one. Not a one of those. And it seems like every single regular bus that's multicolored is all the windows are either taped or they have newspaper shoved back there, like shoved up under the lever. That's unacceptable. Your drivers, a good amount of them, do not like to kneel the bus. I know I look young and I'm a spring chicken and all that good stuff, but listen here, not just because I'm not pregnant or elderly or carrying a cane, does not mean I don't need you to kneel the bus. I don't need you to give me an attitude if I ask for it. I shouldn't have to ask for it. So I don't know if that's your culture here, or if that's a CDL thing or Department of Transportation thing. A bus driver last week, I already had to report him for threatening me, not kneeling the bus, and moving the bus while standing. This is the issue. We are the public. Bus drivers that start driving, it's not that serious. Wait the extra 10 seconds for everybody to be seated. This is not New York. You guys don't have good handrail or straps. You guys don't have straps on your bus. So wait for me to sit. And I was holding a tote bin. It was empty, but I was holding a plastic storage bin. You can clearly see I'm not seated. Wait. So that's that. And then Miss Jackie's great. This is not, anything to her, but this is my second time here at this board meeting for a gentleman masturbating on the back seat, on the last seat. So the last time I was here, you guys told me they do drugs on that back seat, they masturbate on that back seat. It would be better for me to just sit behind the driver. That is not the remedy. I'm back here again in less than 2 years, the same person, different perpetrator, but still the same thing is going on. Thank God this time I recorded it. Y'all's cameras have a blind spot in that back seat. Fixed it for you. So I recorded it on my own thing and filed my own charges with the CPD. Now this time, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay, so the solution is not me sitting up. I have PTSD, I don't like people sitting behind me or sitting up on me. Clearly, I have medical conditions, like she said, I wear my mask. Okay, so that's that. That back seat, I said last time I was here. Put a Friday night, Saturday night, put a CPD officer, let them sit right there in that middle seat right there on the back. No, the solution for this room told me I had to witness a pervert to sit up front. That's not the remedy. So now that it just happened again 2 weeks ago, now I want it on the record so that you all know that that seat on most of the buses is a cameras don't capture anything. You guys don't encourage any safety. Your male drivers especially shrug their shoulders and don't care and act like they can't help. Let's change that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
a particular buses do you ride?
The last time we had the pervert was on the 401.
Okay,
This time was the one, and little black girls got on the bus after I ended my recording, and after that incident happened, 2 little girls got on the bus. And the woman, I ended up seeing her again because I usually ride that 501, and sometimes she rides with and without her daughters. And I still have to catch her, so I can pull her aside and say, "Man, why for this bus too?" Because apparently, dummy thought it was just the 401. That was the 401 that the pervert was last time I came in this room and spoke to y'all. 501 was this time that I came in here and spoke to y'all. I don't even take the 801. Because that back seat, or they prepare their pipes on that back seat for the 801. I will take the 83 before I take the 801. So that I can get to Harbison the same way. There's less people. If something happens, okay, I already know what my options are and which way I can move because the 83 is less crowded. And apparently I can't go to jail for spraying somebody on the bus with OC spray. I can't go to jail. So on the 83, I will ride that one to Harbison better than taking the 801. I don't even touch the 801. There's nothing I can do on the 801.
do you always report it to the driver when it happens, ma'am?
I do, and then all they say is step off and go to security. The
Oh.
pervert situation 2 weeks ago, that's what he said. Step off and go to security. No, this is the last bus. Let me go home, gather myself, have my panic attack at home, and I will return to, because this is what happened last time. And I already know the standard operating procedures from last year when this happened. Your drivers he could have pretended like the bus had mechanical failure. Hey guys, give us a second. Called CPD. Boom. CPD, here's this video. It's him right there. That's what happened. But again, I'm not on y'all security team and y'all didn't pay me, so I'm not going into detail about that. There's plenty other options that doesn't have to be turned into a big thing, or it didn't have to be obvious. Again, go to him and say, hey, this is the gentleman. He was just on 501. But I was scared. I was still frazzled when the little girls got on the bus. Went to the 101, which is my bus, and it was the last bus. And nobody was gonna bring me home, right? So instead of going to security like I did last time, and nothing's gonna happen, they can't do anything, they can't represent them, they can't do nothing. Even if I'm showing them on video, the person, they can't do anything. Let me go on the bus and get on my bus 8 o'clock at night. I'm already frazzled,
Madam
and
Chair,
that's what he said.
Yes, thank you.
can we, get Mr. Coates to address, because she's just throwing all those things at the drivers.
Yeah.
What's the procedure for a driver when you have any incident on the bus that requires the police or?
Yeah, well, the procedure would be, you report that to them. They should in turn call our dispatcher
Right.
and explain the situation. At that time, the dispatcher would notify the authorities,
Mhm.
who then would be dispatched to the bus. That's what should happen. In that particular, so,
Both times, that didn't happen, so. And like I said, it's not a coincidence that the same person within less than 2 years telling y'all the same thing and the same incident. So clearly it's a problem, and I'm not making it up or bringing it. And it's not from up to me to tell y'all how to do your thing, but like I said, there's literally a culture around here. Y'all don't want to near the bus. You have broken windows. It's like, it's getting frustrating now. And then again, as a person with PTSD, MST, that's not cool for me to twice in less than 2 years have to witness a pervert. Because in New York, that doesn't happen. The homeless bums, they urinate on themselves before they pull the genitals out. They will never think that because a bunch of men are gonna swarm on them and beat them down. That's not a thing. That's not a culture that I've come from.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure we have your contact information. And so if there's any follow-up that can happen, we need to reach out to. Okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you. Okay, so that was the call to the public. That'll bring us to item 5, our consent calendar. Is there a motion regarding the consent? Thank you. And I'll second it. Any discussion on consent calendar? Okay, we'll take the vote.
Mr. Brennan, Mr. Burgess,
Yes.
Slayton,
Yes.
Ms. Herbert,
Yes.
Representative Howard, Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Mood,
Yes.
Dr. Morris. Dr. Morris. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was on mute.
okay. Ms. Racio? Yes. Councilman Walker? Motion passes.
Thank you so much. That brings us to item 6, our discussion and action items, our service update. Mr. Cooksey.
Touch on a few things, highlight a few things. Just Sunday, we completed our contractual obligation for a survey. Just to kind of circle back, service change was successful. And what we have seen from that roster pick or service change, the term, we've seen over the last 2 days an uptick on-time performance, which is positive. We've been doing some work in that area. Of course, we need quite a bit more data. We're getting some great feedback. The pick or run change. For all intents and purposes, our OTP remained flat last year, November to December. But again, the last 2 days, we've seen an uptick there. So that's kind of encouraging. One of our biggest challenges, it was mentioned earlier, that
Join the meeting.
Is the flu, of course, impact service, having people operators and so forth. So we know that's a big one, and we kind of work our way through this flu season. Hopefully, it'll obviously lessen and lessen, but we've seen that up front. Also, I'd like to report, we do currently have 18 operators in various stages of training. We've done a lot of hiring over the last quarter, and you know, we've seen a lot of turnover in the industry, in our particular industry. You know, last year, I will report as far as our local here in Columbia, we did improve 6.5% versus last year, or 2021 and 22 for our turnover. So we think we're doing some of the right things there, but it's still challenging. So we're going to continue to hire and be aggressive in that area. I still left one slide in there for our leaders in transit. Just wanted to report from an engagement that we were contacted by the school, Hayward. They'd like for us to come back out and do that program again in April. So we're pretty excited to give that another go. And that completes my report. I'm open to any questions.
Thank you. Any,
Madam Chair.
yes, Mr. Burgess.
Windows, what's the policy on the bus windows?
Yeah, so the windows, what's been fed back to me on the windows are currently our maintenance is aware we've got some windows that need to be fixed. And I don't have a time frame. I can circle back to when all of those will be fixed and reference to some parts that are needed for that. So we can get that resolved. It's an issue that we have some that are are basically are broken for better tense of purposes. The ones that do work, sometimes you have individuals that will open them during the route. So the operator obviously couldn't stop that second, so it'll remain open until he gets to the end, or he or she to close it. You got people on and off. So for in those cases, that's just more of an issue of, the operator can make announcements. You have the ability to make announcements. Hey, please close the window, or do not close the window, or we can program that in, especially during these months. But the key is to get all of them fixed.
Is there any way we can fabricate an exterior seal on the ones that we know are just?
I can investigate that. I can investigate what particularly come back with exactly. Hopefully we'll have a majority of them fixed, or at least put a dent in by the time we meet again. Because we are aware of it. Maintenance is aware of the parts that they need to get them to stay closed. So that is something that is part of the conversation. It's already been happening and already looking into getting that resolved.
One other question. What's the policy on the bus kneeling? Is that a policy or that's every stop?
It's not every stop, obviously by request. The bus would kneel, or in the event you have when there's a bus stop that doesn't have a curb or some type of a landing area, when you have a flat surface, you would kneel the bus. So, that is something that we is part of our training with our operators as well, on kneeling the bus and when to kneel the bus and the appropriate time to do so. Because sometimes, especially if you have a curb, kneeling, and sometimes you'll hit the curb and potentially do damage because you have your lip there.
I see a hand, Mr. Green.
Yes. So Mr. Cooksey, are you saying that it would take a month to get the windows fixed?
No, I didn't say. No, I did not.
You said they would be fixed by the next time that we met, which is a month, right?
No, I said hopefully within the month we've made some progress in fixing some of the windows. I'd love to have them all corrected within the month, but being that we've had our conversation with our maintenance on what it would take to get that done, then by the time we meet next go round, I should have a report on how many windows we fixed, or if there's ones we can't fix, and what the solution is for those.
Well, I find that a little bit unacceptable. And I mean, I think that we could fix the windows a little bit quicker than a month, or even, because you don't even know how many windows are broken, do you? Is that
I don't have that number. I'm not saying that I'm saying we're going to make an effort to get that done. I agree.
Yeah,
with
well,
you.
I can make an effort
as soon as possible.
But I think that's a little bit long. And I think that you could put a piece of wood in there and that would probably close the window. You don't necessarily have to have every single part, right?
Well, there are some cases where they are using different things to try to keep the windows closed. I'm talking about a proper fix. There are things that we can temporarily do to help keep the windows sealed or closed, but I'm referring to the proper part, the proper fix, so we don't have to makeshift things to get the windows to close. The month was only me saying that between now and next meeting, the goal is to get as many of them fixed as possible. I'm not saying that they're all going to be fixed 30 days from now. There may be some that can be resolved tomorrow. There might be some that are done in a week or less. So within the time frame of a month of us coming back, a report on what we have. So that is how I meant that. And I'm sorry that didn't come across.
Oh, well, I would hope it could be done sooner. I think that this is a priority. This is like a bus not working. But that's just my opinion. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Green. And would this fall under the purview of service committee, something that could be reported to service committee? So I would hope that maybe even between now and the next board meeting, we'd maybe have some report to service committee. Thank you, Ms. Gleason.
I have noticed, when I'm on the bus, and especially when I get on 12 or something like that, I have noticed that most people that get on that bus snatch that one time they get on the bus. That's unnecessary, because most of the buses are very comfortable. They already have the air conditioning on. They got to get on there and spread them all out. That is very uncomfortable. And a lot of the bus drivers, they have kind of like looked around at it, but they didn't say anything then, because I know they kept it cool. But I have noticed it. When I get on 12, 501, 401, those different ones, because I ride those different ones. I go to meetings and stuff, different things like that. And time they get on that bus, they snatch that window wide open. You know, and that's unnecessary because the buses are comfortable. And then when they had the heat on, they do the same thing. So what you gonna have the heat on for?
Mr. Cook says, you know, regulation is saying the window can't be sealed shut for emergency escape. Is it a regulation that says that?
Yeah, I don't believe there is a regulation. I will circle back to the specific
There,
answer to.
if I can interject, Mr. Cooksey, there is not a regulation regarding that. There is a potential to order the buses with those closed. It's just the top window. There are exits, just like in an airplane, for example. There are exit windows and that has emergency release. So what we can look at going forward, if this is a continuous issue, we can look at ordering the buses in a new bus with it enclosed, and there's no possibility of opening that section. And to tag along to what Mr. Cooksey was saying regarding, getting these fixed within a month. First, he's got to do the assessment and then order the parts. And parts has been a continuous issue. So he's going to try to do the best that he can with the resources that he has going forward. But I fully believe that they're going to do a comprehensive review of every bus and start replacing the components as they need to in order to get these fixed and operational again.
I have one other question on this. Are the windows are checked during the time frame you're checking for clean buses?
Say that one more time.
Now, the bus is supposed to be checked every day for cleaning.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be clean every day.
Yes, sir.
All right, that checker to check the clean buses, whether the bus is clean or not, and you check the window.
Yes.
And give you a list.
Yes, I'm gonna work with the maintenance team. I'll have a list, a full list, yes. And to circle back, Ms. Gleason, on what you were saying, or, for everyone here listening, but we can also program through our system an announcement that makes announcements for passengers not to open or close the windows, independently or on their own. And we can do things to kind of help that process along. Some people will say, well, why didn't the operator say anything? Or why is it, they can make announcements. We can have the announcements automatically play. But we also, want to make sure we don't have conflict in the bus where you have passengers and operators get into arguments. That is an epidemic in this nation in transit. Right. It's so much so it's risen to the national level of that type of conflict, which we definitely want to avoid. So we'll do our part maybe by having random messages play just to stay away from that particular issue. They're not there to be the police, right? I think there's a misconception that they're the police. They're to monitor, notify us, and we can assist in those type of situations.
That's good. Quickly say, sorry, your emergency windows have cracks running through them. And you guys still have them on them. So again, like I'm saying, the USC buses, you guys are not telling me on my own. Look, you guys cannot tell me that there's never been a crack. I'm literally looks like a.
Our time for public input has we will continue to correspond with staff about the issues. Thank you. Okay.
Lawson has his hand up.
Mr. Lawson.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I don't want to belabor this point, but I'm just curious. I've heard everyone talking about possible strategies of implementation. I'm just wondering, is it possible for throughout periods of the day for the driver to kind of do a round robin of the bus and under extreme conditions, weather conditions, if they are in that environment during that day, the driver can kind of close and secure that window when time permits? Is that possible for us to implement that?
Yes, that's definitely possible to do. Yeah, that's definitely possible to do. And we can do that, one, by notifying the operator as well, with our technology, as a reminder, during inclement weather. We do inclement weather announcements now, but during certain situations, we can do that reminder on that. So that's absolutely, possible to do, sir.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
And seeing no further comments on that, that's just, there's no action item from this. That'll bring us to 6B, our Lucius and River update. I see Mr. Harris is on there. Do you want to take it or?
Sure, Madam Chair, thank you. From the construction perspective, and that's what I'll discuss, and then Eric can we'll tag team and we can discuss the routing side of it. We have actually, Leroy and I sat down with the construction group and spoke with them regarding the water seepage at Lucius and River Super Stop. And we requested additional information on the full scope of the process that they went through in order to get to the point of where they were putting concrete down on top of the ground and what the ground results were. And so we received all of that information, and then we had a meeting with them to discuss what the findings were. And then we have this was back in late November that we had a discussion with them. And we finally did receive a quote from them. And the quote to me is not a definitive fix. And what I am going to suggest is from our group is that we get a second opinion on this to ensure, because once we go for a fix, we need a permanent fix, and it needs to be done right the first time. We don't want to go back into, we have this and then we're delayed more because there's still water seepage. So I will request a second opinion and get that, so we can be sure that this is the right fix for this, and it is a permanent fix, so we can continue with the progression with the super stop.
And at our last meeting, when questions came up about the stop, we were told that it was over at legal. So what has happened with legal?
We did consult with legal, and from that is what I requested from the construction company. So we made our request from the construction company, and then now it's to the point to where we need to get a second opinion on what we need in order to make sure that this is corrected one last time, and that's it. We can definitely consult with legal again from the perspective of where we're at right now. But my suggestion is that we move forward with this and get a second opinion from another construction company. And if everything levels out, then we can proceed forward. I just don't, from the leadership perspective, I just don't want us to get into why is there a delay and why haven't we proceeded with this, but we want to make sure that we do it and we do it right. So we don't want to get to the point to where, okay, we do this that's being suggested now, and then service moves over there, and we have an issue with water seepage again, and then we have to take that out and then move service back over as it originally is right now. And we don't want to confuse our passengers. We don't want to confuse the public, and we just want to make sure that when we do it right.
See, in other words, what we have is a bad project. Is that what you're saying without saying?
Just coming in to look at everything, it's concerning. To say that it's a bad project, I don't know. I don't have the history to say that it's a bad project, but what I do say is what I see right now is that there are issues with that. with the water seepage.
As far as when you say bad project, are you saying poorly constructed?
Poorly
Okay,
constructed.
just want to make that clear.
Thank you. And I see Mr. Green's hand up.
Yes, so my question is that you, I thought you said that they gave you a quote. Are you saying that they gave you a dollar amount quote? And how much was that quote to fix it?
They did give a dollar amount quote and do that. And it was just under $30,000.
So there was no warranty on what we got done to start with? They want us to pay an additional $30,000 to fix the problem that they did?
Well, that
might be, Madam Chair, if I could say that
Yes, please.
you might want to move this to executive session
Okay.
discussion. I know that Ned Nicholson in our office, who has a lot of experience with construction issues. Ned is the attorney who's been working with the ED on this, but I don't know if we want to get too much discussion in open with where the fingers may ultimately be pointed.
Would it be okay if we moved through the rest of the agenda and then perhaps took some of this discussion up in executive session?
Yes, I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Okay, and do we need to amend the agenda to add anything, or we'll just vote to go into executive
It's
session?
under legal.
Yeah, but I think when you go into executive session, you would just not just add to the issues to be
Okay.
discussed.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I will welcome questions, and I think our council is right on the spot. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to number 7, our motion periods. We didn't meet committees last month, right? So, or did we? We don't have committee reports, is what I'm saying. So are there any motions?
Well, we did have a service committee scheduled, but we did not
Did
have
not.
a forum.
Okay, great, thank you. Are there any motions for the motion period? Okay, hearing and seeing none, that'll move us to number 8, our progress reports, 1 minute apiece. So the chair's report, nothing new to report here. Just want to give a warm welcome again to Mr. Pearl. So thank you for being here. Committee chairs, so that'll bring us to our service committee updates. Ms. Mood?
And we did not have a quorum, so we did not meet.
Thank you. Dr. Morris, Finance Committee, is there an update from you? Dr. Morris, can you hear us? Can we, I think he's on the phone. Okay, there he goes.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Ms. Andrews has kept us up to date on the income, the budget, contracts, and then as we attempt to have a meeting, the last time we had a finance committee meeting with one of the contractors. We're going to try to reschedule that for the February finance committee meeting. And then we reviewed all the checks and signed off on those. So that's basically all I have for the finance committee meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Morris, and thank you for following up that meeting. Okay, so that'll bring us to C, intermodal committee updates. Mr. Brennan?
No update at this time, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay, thank you. So then that brings us to our executive staff updates. Director Pearl.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll give a verbal update. So attended a USC comment bi-weekly discussion. I've been involved with those with operations. Attended the task meeting, which is the Transportation Association of South Carolina, and got to meet other directors within the state, and that was well attended and enjoyed that meeting with everybody else and making a contact and network. We had inclement weather throughout the day on January 9th, and we worked very diligently with the RATP group to make sure that the bus operators were notified and staff was prepared for that. So we had several meetings during that time, and everything went well, and it was really good communication between the two, the COMA and RATP. So thank you, Mr. Cooksey, for that. Had a monthly check-in with the FTA yesterday, and that went well as well. Attended the Brownstone meeting with Leroy, so that we had discussed prior to. And I served as on the Marketing Services Evaluation Committee for the marketing RFP. Attended a meeting regarding the FTA consultant and the 2024 triennial review, which we'll have this year. Now it can be heard. I'm talking the wrong way. Thank you, Pam. We have weekly NOLO meetings as well due to the construction of the hydrogen as well as the electric. We had a meeting with Phoenix regarding transportation assistance hub, and that went very well, gave us some ideas and thoughts of the future for additional services throughout the community. And we're looking forward to looking into that a little bit more. I'll begin setting up meetings with the city and county representatives. So I'll be contacting some board members for some assistance with that. And that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much.
Madam Chairwoman.
Yes.
Director Pearl, I think it's a good idea for you to start attending the COG meetings, Central Midlands COG. There's one coming up tomorrow, actually. And if you could reach out to Britt Poole, the new executive director there, and Reginald Simmons, the transportation director there, to start working together, since that is kind of our major funding conduit for a lot of our transportation efforts.
Mr. Brandon, would you be so kind as to share contact information?
Yes,
okay.
I can do that, please.
Thank you. Okay, that'll bring us to B, our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Andrews.
Hello, everyone. My report is on page 20. It outlines everything we do so quietly and effortlessly. So, in a nutshell, that's what we do from month to month. That's us. Any questions? I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions? Okay, hearing and seeing none, that'll move us to Dr. Prince, our Civil Rights Officer.
Okay, good afternoon. The regulatory compliance and DB reports are found on pages 121 through 127 of the board packet. On pages 121 through 123 is just a monthly activities, and I won't go through those, but I also want to share with you that FTA notified us that they will be conducting their triennial review this year. They have requested information by February 29th that we're to submit it, that will be submitted online. And the actual review will occur sometime between April to September. And they did inform us that more than likely the review will be virtual. And they will let us know if they see a need to come on site. And we have submitted some dates that we are available, so we're just waiting on confirmation from them on that. Also, regarding the DBE reports and utilization, that information is found on pages 124 through 127 of the board packet. And there's just a quick snapshot of vendors with DBE goals. And as of November 30th, we had paid $67.4 million to vendors with DBE goals. And of that amount, DBEs received $17.3 million, which equates to 25.7% of our 25% goal. And also when it comes to our contract RATP DAIL, they have expended $13.5 million with DBE firms, which is approximately 22.7% of their 20.06% goal. And that's all the information I have to share at this time. Able to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Thank you. Thank you so much. That will bring us to our Public Information Officer, Ms. Bino Reed. I believe we have some new Ming Ming content.
Good afternoon, board members. My report can be found on pages 128 and 129. I'd like to start off by congratulating Angela Jacobs. She closed out our United Way campaign with $4,500 in donations. That's $1,000 above the goal that we had set. Also, she has been accepted into the United Way of the Midlands Blueprint for Leadership 2024 class. So we congratulate her on that. With events, as you know, between December and January, it's pretty slow after Step of Bus. However, Mr. Pearl and I attended Leadership Columbia on their Economic Development Day, and we sponsored a ride along for the Leadership Columbia class. It was a tripper of SODACAP 3 that they went on, and we talked to them about the COMET, what our services are, and different things like that, and it was very well received. I have other things highlighted, but I just want to call out a couple of other things. We filmed a Black History segment with Intisar Faulkner of WIS regarding the Sarah Mae Fleming campaign that we did in 2020, and it will be showing on February of 2024. I think it's going to show on the 8th on WIS. And I'm continuing to do educational messaging for the campaign featuring the value of the COMET. And it's similar to the information that we shared on the update on the state of the penny. And lastly, Pam and Ming Ming were appointed 2024 ambassadors for Metro Columbia by Experience Columbia SC for 2024. And as you know, that's the tourism arm. And we'll be discussing riding the COMET and SODACAP, events that events that occur in Columbia where you catch the bus, and pet-friendly living throughout the year. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Can I just add that I am now getting to the point where when I'm out in the community and talking about the COMET, people bring up Ming Ming like, yes, I'm seeing Mr. Durst nod his head. So yes, it's working. I saw Mr. Brennan.
I think now is a very for us to really start meeting with elected officials on exactly what Pam talked about, the value of the COMET. Because I've heard from a couple elected officials that point to that big number of $330 million has gone to the COMET from the penny tax, I think, with a couple comments of what's going on with that. So I think the next month, the next 30 days, we really need to do one-on-ones with all the elected officials. Starting with the county, obviously, to let every council member know the importance of the COMET and our transportation system moving forward. I don't know, what's our game plan for the penny? I don't know, are we supposed to talk about that in open session or what,
Yeah.
but
That's a good question. And what I'll say just from other boards is that we do have, members of other boards are often assigned, outreach targets, if you will. So, Allison's reaching out to so-and-so and so-and-so, you're reaching out to these other two. So perhaps we could work with Ms. Bino Reed on that kind of plan.
Yes, and actually, Rick Silver is helping us with that as far as a concentrated effort to really inform people from an educational standpoint of the value of the penny and what we've accomplished over the last, 12 years or so. And also I'll be sharing the slide deck with the board members that has that information on there so they can readily grasp that information to share.
I think the one-on-ones working. We need to start that immediately.
Yes, I would be in agreement with that. I know Ms. Gleaton, wanted to, did you want to comment or just agree?
Know when y'all meet, I might miss one of the meetings, but I just want to know when the meetings are, because I will try to attend them if I'm not on another meeting or something like that.
Yeah, and I would hope that you would do some one-on-ones with some folks
I
too.
will,
Now, we always have public comment at county council and city council meetings.
Right.
but I need to know when y'all.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, please.
So, yeah, I'll make sure that you
Yeah,
get
I know, okay. Yeah.
get it on your calendar.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Moon?
And this is not directly for the penny, but, Mr. Pearl and Jackie and Rosalind met with the, at the full committee work session of the Lexington County Council this week. And it was more for an introduction of Mr. Pearl, but, they brought good information on what the status was of services and answered the questions. And it was noticeable to me that members of the council were maybe a little surprised, but impressed with the growth in ridership in that area. So I just think that was a good, solid first step.
Thank you. Any other comments or additions to this? All right, hearing and seeing none. That will bring us to executive session. Is there a motion to go in? We would go into executive session for 9A, our legal contractual personnel matter, and then we will also continue our an executive session portion of the Lucius and River update. Is there a motion to go into executive session? I will take the vote to go to executive session.
Mr. Brennan.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Yes.
Ms. Gleaton.
Yes.
Mr. Herbert.
Yes.
Mr. Howard. Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Food.
Yes.
Dr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
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 Chairman Walker.
Thank you. We're now in executive session.
The executive session.
I second it.
Thank you. I will take the vote to come out of executive session.
Mr. Brennan.
Yes.
Mr. Farges. Ms. Gleaton.
Yes.
Ms. Herbert.
Yes.
Mr. Howard. Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Food.
Yes.
Dr. Morris.
He left.
Mr. Smith.
He also left.
Mr. ACO.
Yes.
Councilman Walker. Motion passes.
We're now out of executive session. Ms. Kaiser?
Y'all had discussion, but no action was taken in executive session. But, following executive session, I would recommend that y'all, pass a motion, directing, legal counsel to provide the board with a detailed timeline, of the employment of an interim executive director dating back to the termination or dating back to the move of Mr. Ando, so that we would take Mr. Ando's departure, move forward to show you the timelines, the contracts, and the compensation.
Is there a motion? Okay, moved. I'll second it. We'll take the vote regarding that motion.
Mr. Brennan.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess. Yes. Ms. Gleaton.
Yes.
Ms. Herbert.
Yes.
Howard. Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Food.
Yes.
Dr. Morris. Mr. Smith. Mr. ACO.
Yes.
And Councilman Walker. Motion passes.
No action was taken in executive session. However, would like to ask our executive director to prepare a presentation about the project that we discussed in executive session, and bring that to the board as soon as possible. How about that? With no other items on the agenda, the next item is adjournment. Their motion to adjourn.
Make a second.
So move second. Everybody in favor? Perfect. Thank you all so much for meeting today.